Welcome. I'm Karenann McDonald, and it's so great to have you here. Oh my gosh, it's been a while since I did some lives just on my own, so I thought, geez, we better get this going, right? So I just finished up a really great show. If you haven't seen it, please go to Typical Skeptic with Rob Khalil, and my other co-guest was actually Ryan Velli. So if you go to Natural Intelligence on Rumble or his ryanvelli.com, you'll be able to see us. So, and hopefully we'll have it up on all my mediums soon. So anyway, we were going to go on Rumble, but of course, Rumble did not want to cooperate today. So here we go. We're on YouTube. So I guess it's keeping it clean today. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, please, put them in the chats and we'll see what goes up here. So anyway, welcome. So if you haven't seen some of my YouTubes before, I would encourage you to go to Karenann McDonald, or you can join me, of course, on Facebook at Karenann McDonald, or KA for Karenann. Lucyk, Lucyk. There's some really great things going on there. I've got a lot of information, and we're going to go through some of that today. So hopefully we've got some questions we can answer and kind of field for you. But today I want to talk about finding your inner joy. And what is it to find the inner joy, get to that higher vibration, that frequency, and stay in that and maintain that. So that's the key thing right now that we need to do. So anyway, if you want to take a look at that, that is some of the things that we could be doing. And anyway, I want you to take a look, and we're going to go through some websites and hopefully give you some different sites that will allow you to get through and see some very cool things that we're doing. So anyway, we're going to take you through some things, and I'm going to go actually to my Facebook, and I'm going to encourage you to go there, because one of the things that I have at my Karenann McDonald is I've got a whole bunch of stuff about finding your inner joy. So I'm going to do a quick little PowerPoint here for a few minutes, so that way you guys don't have to get your pen and papers out. And if you do have questions, please get a hold of me. I've got two emails. One is clanmother13@gmail, and that's KLAN mother13@gmail.com. And then the other one is actually KALM, so calm13@protonmail. So hopefully that'll help you guys get through, and we'll take a look at that. So we're going to go over here, and you can actually join me, and we're going to go over to my Facebook site right now. So hopefully you guys can all see that here. So let's go over to Karenann McDonald, and I'm going to do some fun things here. So actually what you're seeing out here on this screen is actually the ability to use a computer, a phone, an iTablet, or a pad. And you can actually hook things up now and put your voice in and or your picture and do an immediate or a Biofield check. In other words, what you can do is do a scan. And that scan can reveal what's you may not be able to see. Okay, so it uses curling photography, and we're using very high-tech stuff. We use a tricorder for the voice. So it's trivectoring. It's a trinary computer system, guys, not a binary. And this was developed by Dr. Bill Nelson and further developed by Ryan Nelson at Insight Health Apps. And in the beginning, this was part of the Apollo 13 project and about 40 Russian scientists to get us to this place. So it's just like the old Star Trek thing. It's a communicator, but we're able to actually do some sound wave or ultrasonic scans. And so if you don't know, even, as a nurse right now, you can get handheld X-ray machines and handheld ultrasound. So this is just a big further extrapolation on that. And you'll see that you can put sensors on if you haven't been, injected with some of the cybernetic interface equipment, we'll just say. And, or else you can put things on that will provide actually pulsed energetic frequency, PEMF. Or again, you can go in and put light therapy. So this is another way to do red light therapy, sound, and neodymium magnetics. So we don't have to go out and spend a whole lot. So let's just skip over here. You're going to see actually my photos, and we're going to skip down to the albums, and we're going to go through some of the new sort of tech that we have out here. And some of it may be new to you, some of it may be not, but this is where I put a lot of different things in here, all the different frequencies for you, where to go. And I'm going to talk just a little bit here about doing electrical magnetic therapy. And the reason why is because they're coming at us with AI. We're getting 5 and 6G running in the evening now. And one of the things that we can use is you don't have to have these big 10, 20, and it was a $50,000 investment for my clinic, generators and microscopes and all sorts of fun stuff. So these are some of the things we've come a long way, baby. And right now you can actually do the same thing that you could do with $50,000 tech. And you can run basically up to 20,000 megahertz just off of the phone, because we can interface stuff with our secured encryption technology. So those are some of the things here. If you want to go back to some of my old YouTubes here, you can see this. And again, that's at Karenann Lucyk MacDonald. So just go to the live section and then you'll be able to find out where I've stored all these hidden treasures for you. So we've been doing this for about 25 years, but this is an extrapolation. Most people know about semantics and how sound wave works. You can actually change water, but you can change blood. We could also use ultrasound and go through and actually use that to get rid of kidney stones. So we're using it for tumors, fibroids, cysts, physically, mentally, and emotionally as well. So you can also run very fine super sounds on that and actually kind of decalcify the third eye and pineal gland. So we were able to kind of stimulate organs and all sorts of cool things and do sound acupuncture here. So if you're not aware of it, this is Raymond Royal Rife, and you can look at some of the original live blood cell and microscopes from way back in. So again, we're working in a spectrum that is outside of what you see. So that's the limitations of working with a live blood cell microscope alone, because you're missing all the extra different frequencies within the biowaves. And that's where we actually like to work, is we're working in a biophotonic area. So we're working a little bit differently there. So it's actually pretty nice to do here. So just you can look at this, and this is based on some of the Tesla technology, and Tesla coils will go in here. So biofeedback has been around for a long time, over 30 years. We've been in just about the industry here. And in the old days, and still do, we have that kind of technology where we would strap you up just like leads, just like you would see in an actual hospital when they're doing an EEG or an EKG to see what your heart is doing or the brain waves. And again, biophotonics, you will see simple things like even looking at light and photonics and lasers, that type of thing. So it's not that different. And so these are different things similar to what we use for thermal imaging. So if people had had any kind of they feel 5-6G or Wi-Fi or EMF kind of radiation, it's another kind of camera or measuring that we can do. This is me several years ago, and you can see there's just huge amounts of actual burning, which would be the white color. So the higher you go up in the ranges, the higher the burning actually. So again, we can use similar stuff by going in and using the Genius Biofeedback, and you can actually see some of the colors around us. So if we're on our game, you're looking at, something that's a little higher than purple, your, 7th chakra, 7D, that type of thing. So we can raise a little bit higher than that, work into the other extensions. When people are ill, you'll actually see, suppressed colors. You'll see them in the lower ranges, the yellows, the greens, kind of smearing, brown, rust. Again, people that are leaking energy, they can't hold it. So we're going to look into those fields and see what's happening. So again, you're looking at people in a color spectrum on that. And so we would see what's in those particular organs. So it might be those acupunctures that are blocked, or something in the reproductive areas, or something in the large and small intestine quite often. And again, we can convert the plant. So as you see, I've got a tobacco plant there next to the flower. And then what you're seeing is that plant for tobacco, rather than using gums or using metamaterial infused, side effect sort of things like patches, you can actually take that plant and convert it into essential oils or into a tincture. And that's what I'm doing. I'm capturing the sound on the bifilar speaker and doing the remedies, and it imprints right into the machine. So therefore I can test it. I can give it to you or test it, just like muscle testing. So again, we're trying to rebuild that energy field around you. And you can see here, someone is leaking. And again, that can come from radiation. It could come because you've got stuff inside you that shouldn't be there. Perhaps you're acidic. Perhaps you are actually going in and, people are vaping a lot. They may be smoking. They may be using alcohol, lots of coffee, different meats. A lot of them have genetically modified heavy metals. And again, it interacts with the external radiation and microwaving coming off some of this technology now, or being near someone that's actually been injected as well. So again, this is the spectrums that we're playing within. So if you flip it around, and I turned it right around, you would see that's actually the same colors as your pH. So we want to get you vibrating into those high ultraviolet, colors. And as you can see, moving people up into that range. And that's where you want to be, is having a little life, all the colors of the rainbow. So this is part of the assessment that I would do for someone. So those people that come to me, whether they want to do one-on-one or do group therapy, or, you just want a show done on it or something to educate one of your communities, here you're going to see what we're doing, because every one of those things that you saw us do manually, which we do, iridology, sclerology, you'll see the colon hydrotherapy chart, and you'll see why colonics are important if you see actually how the colon relates to your chakras and your organs and the connections. So literally your ass and your head are connected through this organ, and the most important is to do cleansing. And dental is another one. You'll see all the organs going in here for holistic and biological dentistry. You'll see the tongue that we look at. You'll see the spine. And again, it's not so much the spine that's always out, it's what's the organs that are damaged inside. And so that's why we talk about using the biofeedback to use these ultrasonic, like a thermal energy scanners, and then we can see the integrity of the organs that are inside. You can also, by this way, is use sound and do actually sound chiropractic realignments and spinal realignments. So especially for people who've got chronic back pain or headaches, things like this. And again, any of the higher senses that create through and run through your cranial nerves. So you've got the 12 senses, not 5, we would go in and take a look at. So you can also apply essential oils along that, and it will eventually start cleaning those things, even dormant injections that we were given as children. So again, applications, you can go to anything and look at all the acupuncture meridians, because they are actually like a line. And from there we can use, instead of x-rays, we can use this type of ultrasound or biophotonic equipment that we have here. So again, there's a physical, mental, and emotional component to everyone. And this is why we look at doing foods. And I don't mean going to the store and just pick anything that's got a sticker from like 3 to 7 or 8, because your healthy foods start with the number 9 on the sticker. Most people can't read their stickers properly. So that's what we're looking at, is getting to eat for frequency, getting it for the light, the magnetic energy. The more alkaline you are, the more electrons you have, and away you go. But what's happening is that most people, whenever I go to test them and you see the reflection of what's inside, is that their auras reflect this really sludgy, unable to process and release things. So if we want to have ascension, it's all about the ultimate form of having consciousness. And for this reason, I always suggest people get litmus paper, because as you see, as you start moving up on the pH chart, that's again moving towards the state of having total co-creation or enlightenment. So again, be very careful who you're around, be careful who you're touching, find alternative ways to deal with people, because this ability to transfer or transmission or shedding is very, very real. Ask any of us that actually have go into shock around people or will start bleeding. And that happens with animals as well. So be very conscious. This is that pH paper I was talking about. And you also can get them on Amazon or at the health store. This is a little bit more in-depth one, where you not only get the pH, but you can get protons, blood, glucose. People think they should, be on a ketone diet. You might be doing better with a vegetarian-based one for a while. So take a look at that. Nitric oxide, everything. So let's get people moving into that higher vibration. That's where we want to be, rather than this sluggish energy people are starting to show. And again, plasma and Rife technology has been around for a long time, since before the pyramids. It's not new. So what we're just doing is concentrating some of this energy. And again, we want to be in an upward, expanding, eternal spiral, not into something that's descending and going into degeneration. So do take a look at that, because sound is the key to this. And this is one of the ones here. So I talked about using these modules, and these are amplifiers with radionic devices we have. I have quite a few that are available. Again, you can look at insighthealthapps.com, and they have everything from, you can rent from $15, $16 a month, right up to buying them to several $1,000s. But there's something for everyone all in between. So they have a rent, they have a subscription, a lease to own, and actually outright purchase or a payment plan. So they're quite a reasonable company to deal with. I'm sure you'll love it. These are some of the really fun things I get to play with. I love Lukovsky's harmonizing machines. These, again, interface. You can play with sacred geometry. You can put your food, water, all sorts of things, reprogram it. This is where you can actually program it with your own voice. So you don't need to use Dr. Emoto's or someone else's, YouTube. you can actually do it with your own voice. And again, there's another thing from using rodent coils and stuff like that. So very cool things. Those are available. So these are just some of the different things. And again, we're working in the areas that you don't see. We're working in the biofield, or that is the largest organ, not your skin. You may have your skin, and inside interstitium is larger than your skin, by the way. But what we do have is the biofield. And this is my friend Sabrina Wallace, as we're synergists. And thank gosh for Sabrina developing that over the last 4 years, is that you will see that the biggest organ is the biofield. And that's where we need to concentrate, just outside of the visible spectrum. So again, we can put supplements on and test them. And this is just an extrapolation for a cure for all diseases. So those people that, if you haven't seen one of Dr. Hulda Clark's book or Zappers, we've gone a little bit light years. But, you know, the only thing we both have, which is great in common, besides our ability to look at rife and radionics and what the actual toxins were and the parasites, is that we both went to and attended the University of Saskatchewan. So yay, something for coming out of the University of Saskatchewan, you guys. There are many books out there that talk about this. There's the therapeutic properties of EMF. So you can see Marcelo's got great stuff in there from pulsing. And again, I want you to think of it sometimes in terms of really we're like walking, biocomputers in a sense here. Everything's got a purpose, and sometimes you just need a different language here. And again, something through the synergy department in here is Sabrina Wallace. So I really encourage people to go look at her Odyssey site, or if you forget something, just go to Rumble. She's got Sabrina Wallace, and also a non-vaxxer 420 has got stuff. You need to know how to put these up. And part of what we're going to be talking about be with the block, the shunt, and the shield, and how to basically put things up. Mind is matter. So a little bit different than Tai Chi and Qigong and all those sort of Reiki things. We're going to talk about literally getting to the point that you can actually just think of something and it will happen. So this is getting into the intent of pure co-creation and creation, procreation, and also what you call manifestation. So we want to get into this because it's very, very important that you get the basics to this. So as I said, there are so many different types of smart technology, which is really surveillance, militarized, armed, residential technology, and it's embedded everywhere, you guys. So if you need one of those educations, great place to go learn some basics for you. So one of the things as well, as I want to talk about getting into your inner joy, do you know there's actually something called joy? And this is really a little bit outdated, but really rose oil was 320, but your spruce is actually 560. So as you can see, you can take all the food you want from a can or anything else, and it's not going to raise you more than 10 to 15 megahertz. And that's actually where prayer is and your thoughts are. So they can actually bump or lower it. And so getting into a prayer or doing meditation raises your vibration a little bit, but not enough to always technically remove diseases. So moving into more of a plant-based thing, you'll see your herbs run about, under 30 megahertz, but let's look where the oils start. And that's where we start moving you into those kind of higher dimensions. And that's one of the few things that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Unfortunately, they've been able to make biosensors do that now, as are some of these nano supplements. And we totally, again, I'm one, as Tony Pantalleresco and other esteemed experts and friends of mine and colleagues, warn against using any kind of nano silvers, golds, Sheila sheets, also carbon C60s or 70s. And again, the zeolite, that type of thing, because you could be looking for trouble when it gets that particulate through the whole body, especially up to the brain. And then they start running different signals at night more so. So these are some of the things up here. And again, we're working on the nervous system and those emotions connected to everything. So just as I said, the spine actually has frequencies. There's music in your soul, but also in there. So if you take a look at some of this, you'll actually see that we can actually run a certain sound or frequency and start literally straightening your spine out. And then we can target the organs inside. So this is really exciting, you guys. And it makes such a difference for people when they start running this up. It's like having a musical massage inside, and it just aligns the soul. When you start getting into this and you start looking at the curling photography, that's basically an extrapolation of what we're doing. So that's why it's so important to have clean food, clean water, spring water, and using the right kind of food. So There are about 50 superfoods on this planet. You can look at some of the books by David Wolfe, but definitely you're looking at cacao, you're looking at hemp seed, you're looking at aloe vera. Look at the foods that provide the biggest amount of protection for you in these days. Even your organic mushrooms, when you start looking at things like reishi and chaga, absolutely phenomenal. And the process that you'll see of going into raw versus cooked. So the more you can do, again, raw food, and if you have trouble digesting it, which a lot of people do these days, you're better to put it into a NutriBullet and blend it like a soup or a puree or like a fruit compote or something awesome. Or again, another option is to make it into a smoothie, and then also juicing is another option for all of you. I mean, really, we got to look at this. So we're looking at the music of life, and that's where we're going to go. We want to aim for those higher frequencies where we're going to see the joy, the bliss, and the ecstasy that we all deserve to go into here. So again, everything is measurable, even how happy you are, how joyful you are, how sad you are, how much grief you have, and where you hold some of this negative energy. And so that's what we're looking at, seeing if we can identify where it is. So it's been known that, you will have more liver issues if you're angry. And if you're around angry people, guess what that happens? A lot of people start having, they feel guts, or, it's like, something feels like it's not right, like, negative vibes. So those are some of the very cool, different, ideas that you can look at in that particular one. Today, what I want to look at too is going into a couple more different categories again, and we're going to go back to my albums. And one of the things we're going to talk about is something that's really cool that's out right now. It's called a Neurovisor, you guys. And this is something available at Insight Health Apps again. It's been around for a few years, but it's a way of doing natural light and sound microdosing without having to do any medicinal mushrooms. And you can get some of these actually for just a couple $100 right now. They can interface on their own or with solfeggio tones or frequency or vibrations, or you can put your own voice in and do your own affirmation work and meditation, which is great, or your own music, or in this case, we can run the Genius or BioVibe, anything to interface. I have several that you will actually start seeing, if you can imagine, the fractals inside when you close your eyes. So it's a very wonderful thing that we've been having out here. So the Neurovisor is just a light little headband that you put on, and it's got the different lights on it. So you can do things for improving sleep, for post-traumatic stress, for brain gym and neuroplasticity, and doing some really cool things. And it's really great. Neurovisor was developed with Garnett Dupuis, so do take a look at it. It's been around quite a bit here. And explore what we're going into. The power of light is, again, a certain amount of healing, but when you go and combine sound with light, it's much more exponentially fun. So again, you can try some of these things for actually basically drug-free microdosing. And those people, just for anxiety, is great. So there's the 9 little lights that deliver some of these. And in this case, we don't mean it's the bad LED. LED in this case means light emitting diodes. So what you're doing is you're creating a choreographed light pattern just to stimulate the brain and to help it adapt to change. And they're just really quick. They're like, 10, 15-minute sessions. So it's really great if you've been having, like I said, any kind of stress, anxiety, grief, that type of thing. So we've got things that, again, just make you relax and go into a blissful state, which is nice, where we all deserve to, I think, be these days. One of the other things, too, is we're seeing a lot of radiation in the areas. So what we want to do, and I'm going to talk a little bit of getting into that inner joy. And one of the inner joys we're going to talk about is using essential oils. And you can see all the different things I have here. I've got them for horses. I've got them for dogs. I've got how to do home distillation, how to take essential oils in, which are edible and safe, and use them in water, use them in your salad dressing, use them in your smoothie, all sorts of cool things, and how to put them in capsules. So there we go. It's a really fun thing. You can get these clear capsules, and you can fill them up with whatever drops you want. And they're called, love bombs, actually. Anyway, they're more potent than just actually doing herbs by a long shot. So we'll go a little bit into that. So you can fill up your own, and it's not rocket science. You don't need to even get these kind of little tools. All you need is an eyedropper and put it right in. So we're trying to raise the frequency and the vibration to where you are at love, joy, and bliss. Every oil has got a frequency. As I said, everything is measurable. We can measure what is the best and do custom medicine for you. So as you see, we're moving up into higher vibration. It's the closest thing to the creator you can get, which is really nice to do it by frequency. So that's what we want to do. We want to raise the energy, raise the frequencies, align the energies, and you want to restore with the subtle energy your own immune system and remove any blockages that may be from this life, past lives. They could be passed down genetically, ancestrally, or in a miasmic type of thing. And if you know about the wonderful thing of epigenetics, we can go back to our original blueprints. So that's actually some of the things, just take a look through here, know the potency. So if you just took a cup of peppermint tea, I challenge you to go get some essential oil and put a drop in it, because one drop is equivalent and it will help build up the immune system. So one drop of peppermint is equivalent to 26 cups of peppermint tea. It will act differently in water as opposed to when heated up here. And you will appreciate me once you've done this. The other thing we have also going in here is the expression. So many things, you can start with very simple things like lemon, lime, orange, grapefruit. Lime is one of the best aphrodisiacs, but it's also one of the best antidepressants and mood elevators you will see. So always have that in, and peppermint and stuff. So again, we discovered we can move on way beyond what happened. And we've been looking at this for a long time. So like I said, did you know even basically one drop of lemon, it takes 3,000 lemons to produce just 2 pounds of oil. So basically do the math. One drop equals almost 20 lemons. This is amazing for chelation. It's another alternative if you don't have hydrogen peroxide or MMS, the master's mineral or chlorine dioxide. This is something else, or an ozonator. This is something that can be put into glass and it will start chelating out chlorine and stuff like that. So amazing. It starts going out and chelating and binding so that you can actually remove toxins built in the system. So essential oils are actually, you guys, some of the best chelating agents in the world. And again, you can look these up, what crosses into the head. It's going to be your frankincense, sandalwood, all those pine for pineal glands. Easy to do, but you can always, if you're hesitant, apply them to the bottoms of your feet. You can even add a little castor oil or coconut oil and put some hot towel wraps, and you will love me for that. That's a raindrop with a wrap. Anyway, so again, we want to help change and move you into a better state of sleep. And you'll see the differences on live blood, as you will see the differences, just on how you feel. So again, whether you call it aromatherapy massage, or we call it raindrop technique, or Vitaflex, Tibetan reflexology, that's basically all it is. We get to marinate you and pickle you. How cool is that? So those are some of the things here. So you can look them up. You don't have to get this kit per se. There are lots of different suppliers out there. Up here we have kiaroma.ca. We've got Essential Aura. We've got Nevessence. Down the States, you've got different things like New Directions. You've got Eden's Gardens, lots of other things, as well as Young Living and doTERRA. Trained with all of them, by the way, just about. So anyway, have some fun. This is where it needs to go. Raise the vibration. This is, very well, see how it's absorbed and how it changes your outlook. You can even combine something here, and I'll just show you just quickly here. There's something called tuning forks, and this is something that works as well. If you want to get into the simplest form of biofeedback or sound, one of the things is crystal bows, or another thing here are called tuning forks, and you can actually hit the forks, and basically it will resonate a beautiful sound, and you can put those little points even right on acupuncture points. But you can wave them through the field, and when you combine it with Biofield or biofeedback and essential oils, you will be in a new state of bliss, let me tell you. So this is another way. If you haven't seen these, do look into them. There's lots of stuff on YouTube. Eileen McKesnick, and she's got great stuff at Biofield Tuning. So again, that's what we're doing. We're putting those sound waves, not just 9 different basic tunes or notes. We are doing your day of atonement. So we're putting all these tones through you. So I'm making an antidote through the anti-notes that you might need to, take down some of these prescriptions and stuff. And it's very easy. We have done this so many times with gas visualization discharge, different kind of x-rays, and all sorts of scanners. And you can see the difference in the body right away. And don't forget your little furries here. They work on the animals, on the birds. There's only about 10 oils you can't use. So just look up which are safe for it. We've done just about every animal on there, and they love this. So it's one of the newest things, and most people don't realize, like you can use carrot seed oil. And look how protective it is against all that radiation and 5G and 6G and fogs and stuff like that right now. So again, you may not be aware of it. You don't have to be trained in acupuncture or acupressure or Vitaflex, Tibetan reflexology like I am. Just know that it's going there. All you have to do is massage the points and you're not going to go wrong. So you can always learn this kind of stuff later. So very easy again to look at some of this technology because I'm sure you're really going to enjoy it. There's so much to learn and so many different things that you can combine. So I'm going to just go through one more really fun one that I have. And if you have any questions, I'll take them in a few minutes once we go through here. So again, into my photo and albums. I've done a bunch of different shows you can look up as well. And we won't go there today. And also going into different jurisdictions. This is natural law. So there might be something in there that you think you might like. And one of the other things too, from live blood cells to ley lines to even where you live on the planet could be actually affecting how your immune system and your health is. So a lot of people aren't aware of that. We're seeing a lot of things coming through corneal mass ejections. It's affecting the Schulman wave. And oh my gosh, guys, we've got a pole shift. We're right into it. The next 24, 48 months, 1 to 2 years, we're into major stuff in there. So let's go into something that most people don't know too much about, which is what I call steam it, baby. I'm a steamy chick. I've gone to Red Tent Wellness and to also steamychick.com. So these are probably one of the most healing modalities that most people know very little about. So as you can see, I've got lots of YouTubes. You can learn how to do these little yoni steams, and they are so simple. You have no idea how simple these are because everyone says, oh, I need to get this equipment. I need to get the other equipment. And, I'm telling you that you can actually go in and just, there's probably 8 ways to do it without having any equipment. If you've got a chair, you can sit on the end of it. If you got 2, even better, because what you're trying to do is create those herbs and oils. And normally what I do is I put a hot plate underneath the saucepan or whatever you're doing, because it will create steam coming up for hours on end. And you cover yourself, obviously, with, some towels or blankets as well. So when people give me excuses, there are no excuses. If you can't squat or go into yogic positions, it doesn't matter. There is a methodology for absolutely everyone. Okay, so a lot of people will even make wood, or they'll do wood chairs, or they will do basically what you would go into doing for the stools. You can get porta potties like you go camping with. And again, you can go into even what's called an enema or a sitz bath here. So rather than doing the water inside, the idea is to do a steam enema. But actually what you're doing is you're putting the herbs, the oils, and the salts, and the minerals, and the crystals that you like. And so basically this is an upgrade from just buying stuff. So anyone can go to the dollar store and get one of these metal bowls and put some towels around. And then what you're not realizing is the penetration. I want you to clue into what I'm talking about here. Can you see the penetration, you guys? That's what happens after about half an hour. So this is a great way to do things instead of ivermectin and sticking a whole bunch of stuff into orifices with prescriptions. Anyway, I want you to take a very keen look. This was the best things. Cancer, okay? Post-traumatic stress, sexual abuse, ritual abuse. So these are stools people have built. You can buy them. They're all over. There are thousands of clinics all over the world. And if you don't know about it, then we need to get you into that frequency of joy, because this is the sweet spot out of Atlanta, Georgia. And let me tell you, those girls know how to have fun. So these are clinics all over. And again, this is one of the famous ones. If you don't realize, Dr. Terry Dubrow, who is from Botch, the famous Hollywood plastic surgeon, they have actually done testing pre and post after being on here. And the candida, your immune system goes right through the roof. It's a great way to relax, but you're steaming right in and you're doing a direct line. So you're not having to break herbs and oils down through the digestive system. There again, his beautiful wife, Heather Dubrow, is actually one of the Hollywood housewives. Again, let me tell you, I showed you how to do it at home for free. You can upgrade, and they go to $3,000-$4,000 if you want to have the gold leafed ones like this. So that's basically what you're seeing. They will use amethyst crystals and mugwort and lavender and all sorts of things. Vitex, you can use oregano, thyme, basil, rose, whatever you like. Again, many different clinics, many different schools, and it's called perihydrotherapy. So steam therapy. So you're actually chelating out, you're pulling toxins out of the body. This is a great thing for if you've got any kind of issues. It's not just about, it's for men and women. I've done, by the way, animals on there. And it's a great thing for elevating the mood. I have lots of couples that have his and her chairs, kind of like their little thrones. And they play, chess at night and backgammon and crib and all sorts of things. So it's really helped things up, especially if women, if we want to get into the aphrodisiac end. This has been used since before the pyramids, and it's been used as an aphrodisiac for men and women prior to getting married or trying to go into the bridal beds there. The other thing too, for getting lymphatic draining, for fluid retention, for communication, for chakra realignment, spinal realignment, and anything to do with fibroids, tumors, endometriosis for women, for men, prostate. This is excellent for prostate issues as well. And getting up at night in urination where you shouldn't be. Also for conceiving. So it's actually was always used for recovery. So in the hospital, we use the sitz baths like this, like the first ones I showed you for after child delivery for episiotomies and stuff to reduce the pain. But they didn't go that far, did they? These are some of the ones you can buy just to let you know some of these steamers. And I actually have one behind her here, but really that's all it is a hot plate. And again, you can buy these if it's something that you want. You can buy the herbs online. And again, one of the things most people don't realize is you can take herbs and instead of doing ivermectin, you can make your own suppositories. Or in this case, this is a womb or vaginal herbal ball, and it's called a womb detox pearl. And that's where you actually take basically like a tea bag and put a cheesecloth or fine fabric, natural around it, put a little tail on it, and we start getting lots of toxins out, guys. So if you're having problems eliminating or biofilm or in anything that's going on, this is how women actually put them in. So the little potpourris were actually greased up and put in the vagina. And there's entire things. You would put one in for about 3 days and remove it, 3 days and remove it. And they would do this as parasite cleansing for up to 2 to 3 months, by the way. And they would do this actually before they got married as well. So this was part of the bridal shower stuff before they got all cleaned out this way. So the only time you don't do any of these things is when you're actually on your moon time or menstruating. So there you go. And again, you can just look up. You can make your own. You can also use tea bags. So you can make it single or a combination or any kind of blends that you like. Because what we're doing is we're trying to get that intense, that biofilm out. This is the problem that we're seeing with the geoengineering and some of the chemicals and air pollution that you're now inhaling through the fog, all this kind of stuff. So again, using things like Master Cleanser, and we'll talk about different things as well. But every one of those little dots is actually, if you can imagine, a vitamin or a mineral that you're missing. So again, you can look these up and go through them at your leisure. Lots of books on it. May be new to you, but it's not new to us. As I said, this is all the tribes have been using it, whether we call it a yoni, we call it a vaginal steam, a bannock, all sorts of words are used for this. I'll probably try yolk. Instead of Tai Chi, Chayok is actually the correct term for steam in Asia. Okay, and again, that colon, as I was talking about, is so connected to the iridology, connected to everything. So if you want, take some pictures of your eyes. Go look up the charts or call one of us. We have iridology scanners. We have oils for hormones. We have for men, women, sexual abuse, ritual abuse, and again, peace and calming and joy, getting into that inner love and inner bliss, right? Making sure you have the right minerals and vitamins and natural salts, not artificial synthetics. Getting herbs and stuff for different magnesiums, getting ozonated, getting things clean from the inside out, because you don't know when you're going to be prepared. So this is not taking a drop or two or putting some diffuser in. It's about literally getting it, as you can see, on and into you. Okay, so there's lots of ways to take it. And for children, pediatrics, and for animals, I've done all the above. You need some extra education. Dr. Gary Young, best book ever, Essential Oils, right? Therapeutic uses, right? Desk references. Learn about it. Emotional stuff. Muscle testing. So we use the biofeedback now instead of people using pendulums and cards. And the reason why is because it's so easily influenced with all the different radiation and 5-6G now. It's affecting how anyone will even throw or pick cards right now, by the way. So take a thing, you can do your self-analysis, get your phone out, you can do some of these things, and let's reassess and see if we can chelate out or neutralize some of these things. And again, we can see it quite easily on our live blood cell. So we combine the live blood cell with the sound waves. A lot of people can't get alkalized with baking soda. There's a company here. You can go talk to them because they only do it by phone, guys, or email, swadehills.com. Okay, getting things cleaned out. This is the whole thing. Chlorine dioxide, Dr. Andre Klocker's meth. There's so many different things out there. Borax, internally, externally, chelation in the bath, different things, biomats. And I have used these in the hospital. I have had doctors write prescriptions, by the way, in many hospitals. We've used them in emergency because it is effective when you know how to do it. I could put frankincense or I could put lavender on any open cut or wound, and it will, when I've done breaking of ankles and stuff like that, I'm up after a couple weeks rather than a couple months. Okay, so getting that back to a state of bliss, joy, and where you need to be. So sometimes just getting some baking soda is enough to make you into a state of bliss or joy. Learning about what Master Cleanser is, 1 or 2 drinks of this, adding some activated charcoal, finding out what your blood type is. Okay, finding out that, again, there are better foods that you can eat. And it's not about eat for your blood type, but there are actually things that are with all the extra blood types that they're not going to tell you about that I know about. Okay, not taught in medical and nursing. And again, lineages and stuff like that, how that's affecting us. What's in the house? Is it an internal or external thing? Why are you reacting? What's happening with the biosensors that are embedded under the skin? Okay, so do you have an analog? Do you have a smart meter? Are you getting that, through your house every night and every day? Do you have a screen on it? There are so many different factors that we can use and cleansing that you literally can get out gallstones overnight if you know how to do it with 6 glasses, 3 in the morning and 3 at night. Okay, different ways to do it, putting them into capsules, learning from people that have done this before, doing cute things like black lemonade and adding some more essential oils to it, using higher superfoods online, take a look at it. Can you imprint the food? Can you clear out some of the toxins and reinfuse it with better ones? These are the things that we need to look at that are available to us right now, and using different things instead of using the drugs or being pushed at people. Do your investigation. We can see it. One of the best things we've done is actually use spring water, by the way. And so there's one of our clinics as well. One of my colleagues works with is Lorraine Andrews there, and she also works with a lot of animals, specifically horses and horse communication. But we will do that quite often when we're working in the clinics and stuff and do things together. You will see the biofeedback combined always with the microscope because you're missing half the information when you're doing there. So I want to give you some different ideas and see if there's anything else. Again, everyone's rashing about tobacco. Well, you don't need to go to the pharmacist. You can get tobacco. You can get essential oils. You can get a plant. You can get it down. Okay, there are usually for venoms and stuff, 101 things better. Getting a great sense of chlorophyll, build the blood out. It's great for radiation. All these things will help you build that immune system and keep your immune system intact, because we are starting to see that basically from being around people that have been injected, that your blood is almost looking as bad as theirs. So let's just give it a chance. Okay. When people have been injected, though, one of the things we can do is not put any kind of technology on them. And we're finding all this stuff, even electrical culture, wearing copper around the house, copper around the plants is actually helping the plants produce fruit. So again, learn some of this thing, simple stuff, so I wanted to thank you. One of the other things too, I'll just talk about a sense of, being in bliss and happiness is that I can go to a store and not feel quite as like, upset, paranoid, or wondering what's coming around the corner or who is. These are things that you can wear around your neck that are blowing ozone all the time, especially with fog and different pollens and stuff coming up into the air right now that we're going into our spring and Vesna time. And this is something that's like a baby taser that actually helps with people and helps demagnetize a little bit of the nanotech around you. So get into a state of alkalinity, get these things that I've talked about, do some exploration. And by the way, read your labels. Did you know that Arm & Hammer is a semi-synthetic? Did you know it's made in a lab? Okay. There are natural versions of it. Okay. One is called Bob's. Take a look or talk to your local health store. Look at these things with magnesium and different ways to help clean your system out because you're so deficient. As I said, home enemas, water, how to get things cleaned out. There are 101 different ways here. Even electric enemas can be obtained on Amazon now. Okay. And some of these things, Kalima boards, most people have never heard of a Kalima board. Okay, how to clean out those toxins. And actually, it's not about just getting stuff out. I could put all your herbs, oils, and all the things that you need, nutrient-wise, instead of an IV, put it in there and just let you hold it for 15, 20 minutes, even if it's just as little as half a cup or a cup, like taking a cup of tea, which we do quite often. These are some of the bigger machines, used all over, used in all the hospitals in Europe, I might add. If you want a regen bed, you guys should be looking at colon hydrotherapy beds, actually, quite frankly. These are some of the different ones that are available on the markets, and this is mine, one of mine as well. But like I said, you can do the basic bucket version, or you can do this. Okay, lots of stuff is available online. And again, if you're going to do ivermectin, what's the alternative? It's called wormwood. So you can actually make frankincense and lavender and make them in basically frozen molds and capsules and stuff like that. There are a lot of ways of doing natural herbal or essential oil suppositories. So again, people even put CBD there. They call it bum candy, by the way. So again, you don't need a lot of supplies. You don't need to go to the pharmacy, and I'm trying to keep you out of there. Even doing nebulizers that you can do with colloidal silvers, right? And eucalyptuses and salines. And again, most people have never seen this. This is actually, again, we make gels, and they can be put in rectally or vaginally. So you can take whatever herbs you need and make it a little bit thicker than an enema water, but thicken it up a little bit. And there you go. You've got your suppositories and your gels overnight. So those are just some of the things. I hope you guys are like learning something. Are you getting something out of this? Just give me some information here. I'm checking the chat room now, and we're going to go through and see. We've been at it here a little bit. So what have you guys got for questions here? Like, let me know. We'll go through here. So it's nice to see you guys. It's great. So, Colin's in here. Are you guys having fun? Yay, I am. I've got to go turn that off. Someone wants to call. Apologize for that. So one of the things, Colin's amazing. He's got a lot of great information. We're going to put this up onto my Facebook and YouTube and X. And one of the people, Infinite Awareness says, profoundly depressed since the end of December. Okay, so one of the things we're going to talk about is, you said you're working in the public, and that you're working as a server in a restaurant, even though you never eat there. The food's terrible. That's where you can take your own smoothies and stuff like that and juicing. But one of the things in there we want to talk about is, I talked about wearing those air tamers. And this is my little bio bear. So you can see the little bear has actually got this little air tamer around. And that's something you can wear discreetly actually underneath in here, or you can actually put it in your pocket or something. The other thing is, I always go in there, I alkalize before there, and I'll talk about some Spike Protect stuff at a company I have, or, can get one similar. But these are some of the things that you actually can wear. You can actually have the biofeedback on you. You don't have to be attached to it. So I go shopping, have my biofeedback on in my purse. So it could be in your purse. And as long as you're sometimes within 20, 30 feet of this, it's pulsing anyway. So there's a lot of little tips I have like that. So that's a great thing here. And especially in working with, as you're talking about, like Colin's talking about working in a public aquarium, right? And if you're working in all the sort of things here, those aquariums, oh my gosh, I can't even walk into like public pools because of all the issues, right? With all the chlorine, I actually start gagging and getting headaches. So these are one of the things too, is wearing those kind of tamers now that we've seen going in there. I'm going to talk a little bit about shungite and crystals, by the way. So shungite is one of those crystals, and I've done shows actually on Shungite Reality. I don't know if you know that, but if you go back and you look at Shungite or Cosmic Reality on Rumble, you'll see that actually I have done stuff with Nancy Hopkins. And this is my little book collection back here. But Shungite Reality is one of the ones with Nancy Hopkins here, okay? And one of the things, like Tony Pantallarsko, one of the things we found is that shungite is great around you. Okay, so there's a big chunk of shungite, okay, right here, is not to have it on you, but have around you. And it's an attractant, but then I don't want that on as close to someone's, onto your inner field or your 3D, or as people think their body, right? So I don't mind it around here, but I don't want it directly on it. So there are some different things with the shungite and what's been happening with carbon C60s and stuff that Tony Pantallarsko has found with the humic shales and things like that. And Teshin, you'll see a lot of Zessa stuff on mine. He's really great into these fields as well. He's got a lot on there. So again, those are some great things that you could look at. I have no problem with them being around, but just definitely not on the body. What we're finding is some of the things here. So, it's really great that we've all kind of come together here. So anyway, Colin's typing in the dark, he says. Isn't that funny? Anyway, we'll see if there's any kind of other issues in there. So sometimes people are having some different issues, let's say with headaches. And a lot of people are having what we're calling brain fog these days. I don't know if you guys are having it, but most of my clients are having brain fog. Some of them are having interesting lucid dreams, and some of them are having, they figure they're being attacked at night, or, things are moving in their house. So one of the things to really be cautious of is, again, getting the colon clean, because the colon feeds the eyes. And up here in higher frequencies, that's why I use the biofeedback and use these type of things, because if you're not injected, can actually put any of these sensors either right here, or you could put it right around the eyes, like I talked about with the neurovisor kind of ideas. Essential oils can go around the eyes. There's all sorts of things we can talk about that are great for that. Doing the eyes with colloidal silver, castor oil is another thing. So all sorts of things are happening to people, right? So again, that's one of the best things that I could advise. And I'll probably show you a little bit of the biofeedback as well, because I think it's so, so important here. And so one of the things is that we want to get people in there. And even if you are postmenopausal, you should still be steaming. All these things are applicable. It's not about women that are just menstruating. So you can be actually, like I said, half an hour. I've actually sat for hours. I've actually, if I didn't have some other stuff to do right now, I could have been sitting here steaming, and you would have never known it, So anyway, it can be your little throne, and you might as well take advantage of that. So again, some of this stuff too in here, activated charcoal, some people are doing through the black lemonade. Just watch which kind of things you have. We don't want anything at a nano level. I'm okay with some things if it's just in a powder here. But one of the things that's really interesting is, again, people are using, and I have lots of tech here and all sorts of things to measure the EMF and the gamma. So I have radiation counters here too. But you got to remember, most of the stuff that's out now, we cannot detect. You can feel it, and that's why people are getting very anxious. Or I turned all red the other day. My monitors didn't pick up that, but we were all red the other day from something that happened, and then a word kind of swirling wind, and then boom, we had storms here for 2 days solid, right? So again, you may actually perceive it in a different way. So don't always assume that we can measure it, because you can't. And then a lot of times it happens at night, so you're not up measuring this, and they may only put it on for 10-15 minutes, while you're sleeping from 1 to 5 or something. So take a look at this. So those are some of the things actually you really need to take a look at. So anyway, those are having some fun things. So yeah, these are some different things. Anyone else got some questions in here? I think I'm almost caught up here. Mahalo to you too. Great to see you guys. And yeah, he said he was introduced me to Nancy Hopkins and Walt Silva there. So it's great. So Mark Joseph is another one that's actually very, very well. He's on my Facebook group, Derek Conduit and all that sort of thing. So again, this is what I set up on Facebook. So if you guys are on Facebook, it's Karen Truth Data Group. So I've got an inner circle there. There's a couple thousand of us. So you might want to go take a look there. Okay. Because sometimes you create those communities, but certainly anything you can go onto YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey. I've done lots of stuff at newsinsideout.com or with Dr. Dina Churchill on BitChute, and quite a few with Ryan Velli. So we did some really great ones with Dr. Debbie Drake. I would really encourage you to see that. So this is just amazing stuff that's getting out there, and this is what you need to do, and also about where you're actually geographically placed. We talked about that today, being in safe places. The pole shift is on. This is not waiting for another year or two. So these are one of the ones in here. So I would suggest basically you look at also better zones during the pole shift. There are things with topography maps. You can also learn from different tribes and clans that have been here for a long time. So that is one of the things as well that you might want to take a look at, right? So again, take a look at this on that. And again, some of the people, like I said, it depends. There are different things, not even just blood types, but let's say for mine is AB positive. And that's why I talked about Eldon cards if you don't know your blood type, because some people are more susceptible to things. So one is more iron based, and some of the RH negatives are actually more That's why they call them blue bloods, when you get the copper stuff into doing stuff. So again, that's why, someone might do okay with some of these copper things they're putting on. And some of us actually, I had virtually like a heart attack. I had 3 clients within a week start having heart attacks when they put some of these different patches on them, especially if they weren't on their feet and they put them on the chest and went right to the pericardium. We had people actually having heart attacks and strokes that we could actually measure. Their blood pressures are like 220 on 120. So you need to be aware of that. So Jody's got a question for me here. Great to see you, Nicole. Thanks for joining us. Lucian's in here, a few other people. That's great. Alana. Jody, nice to see you. Okay, so one of the questions you have here, Jody, is what? I have a question about oregano oil, 70%, and how to apply it properly. So one of the things I'm going to really suggest is to go and, get one of the books. There's a little pocket book in here. And if you have any of the questions, look that up or go online. But one of the things that you're going to love is oregano oil. Oregano oil is amazing. And I prefer not to use the tincture so much, which you could, and you can also put them in capsules if you're having problems and dilute it further. But one of the things, or in salad dressing, there are lots of ways to take this down. But one of the things is in the raindrop. That's one of the base oils that we use in raindrop. Actually, it's the first one. So we could actually put it on the skin directly, or you could put a little coconut oil and layer it down first. The reason why is it's a huge, huge one for antifungal, antibacterial. Okay, and we would lay the oregano and then the thyme, because what would happen is it's kind of cleaning, and I don't want to use the word virus, but in an anti-poison or like for detox purposes. So they are actually having some amazing, amazing results with that. So if you wanted to get heavy, heavy hitters, oregano, thyme, melissa, lemon balm, lemongrass, clove, all sorts of things. So those are just amazing things in here. And then these are great. So these are a pocketbook. And then I have another huge one. And by the way, I have another one that's for animals as well. Okay, so these are some of the things that you can look up. So oregano's actual specific components are huge. Okay, like I said, it's one of the top things in a superfood. If you wanted to, you could put it in your steam. You could also just use your organic oregano that you would have, and that could be again used in a steam. Yeah, I would not use it in a yoni pearl because you don't want anything that can create a little heat or friction. So sometimes when you're doing things in here, that's a great way to go. What is in the bear? The name of it? I'm not clear as to what you're trying to say there, Crystal. I need you to be a little bit more crystal clear for me so I know what the question is. What is in the bear? This is my BioBear. This is just a demo that I use. This is that would hook up to the Genius Biofeedback here. So these are actually also, if you haven't seen these are, and some people like them, some people don't, but these are actually, they work on a Bluetooth, but what they do is we have basically what's called bone oscillation. And again, these will actually vibrate, or we can put them in different areas here rather than doing biosensors. These are sound sensors, so different things as well. And one of the things as well is taking a look at the herbs and stuff around you. So the more you grow, the better it is. And I was just talking on the show today with Ryan Velli and Rob Khalil at Typical Skeptics. So if you want to listen to that talk, we just did a couple hours earlier with them. And what happened, I said, is that go take a look, and you can actually take that oregano seed and put it in your mouth for about 9 minutes, and then you can grow it. So you can grow your own, which is really kind of cool stuff to do. Or again, program it. So these are some of the things that I can actually put oregano or put my plants on and actually reprogram it and then take them in internally as well. So I can program water, crystals, or directly pulse it into myself. So these are other things that, definitely are very helpful to have. And those were some of the things we talked about in the presentation there. So those are one of the things I find that are really, really interesting. And one of the things, like, that's why I talked about these things, like, not using EDTA and certain things in the system. They are not for everyone. And a lot of people are sometimes disconnected. And that's why we have people dropping dead suddenly. You don't just have a heart attack. There are symptoms that go on, but if you're disconnected and can't feel it, that becomes an issue. And so those are one of the things that we're seeing. I've been nursing for 42 years, by the way, right now. And so one of the things is that when you start taking things like EDTA and methylene blue, okay, those are not herbs. They're not a natural substance. You can take any one of these things and look up the side effects to ivermectin or look up the side effects to methylene blue, and you'll see that you can have delayed reactions. You are putting in radio like dyes and stuff. I wouldn't go eat that. I wouldn't give it to a dog. Yet again, you see someone on a plane like Kennedy taking it, and everyone thinks it's cool all of a sudden, right? These are not the people of the epitome. I don't go to the people that created half these problems in the first place, and then have vested interest in a lot of these companies in the back end that we know about. So take a look at that. So like I said, they've suggested, and again, that's where if you want to do the deep dive and you want to look at people like Tony Pantalleresco, he's got a lot of stuff out there, and he's talked an awful lot about the shungite, but keeping it around you. Okay, and the breakdown and how that happens. They're very people. It's not for everyone. You've got to do the deep dive and do that stuff or contact him. One of the things in there that we looked a lot in there, and it isn't not only just for everyone, there's always going to be side effects. People don't realize that. These are doctors that are pushing stuff because they're based on an allopathic medical model. And that includes whoever it might be. Doesn't matter how many criteria you have behind it. There is a better solution than using ivermectin and methylene blue or EDTA, always. And we get better and faster results because you'll see what will happen to clients after they do it for a few months or down the road. So those are one of the things too. And I'd mentioned earlier, one of the questions in here too is about how to find the blood type out without giving blood. As I mentioned, there was an Eldon card. And if you go back to the beginning of this recording, that you'll see it there, or go to my Facebook and look under my albums. So those are one of those things in there too. And again, why would anyone want to give blood right now? There's no reason to give blood. There really isn't. Not when we have the technology that we do. Even if you do, you got to be careful where it's being sent to and for what purpose. You have no idea where the stuff goes to after people have used it or who's in that lab or where it could be further put onto. You can also do what's called sigil and black magic and rituals around the blood that has been taken in hospitals and labs. They create their own different vortexes. And that's a whole nother thing when you get into what they do with these projects as well. So you're going to be very careful with that. And again, when you have stuff about giving blood, I'm not sure why someone would. So I don't suggest doing any donation whatsoever. And even people that have got increased blood and polycythemia, there's other ways to do that. We can do with tapping off. So those are some different remedies. And Nina's got a thing. Nina, what's the best remedy for biofilm? Okay, one of the things I talked about earlier is enemas and colonics. Water is the universal solution. You can do essential oils in there. You can do herbal teas. I talked about the magnesium oxide that you can get, also called Bioxy, also called OxyCleanse, also called Oxy powder. So if you look at that, it's always meant to be used with lemon juice after as an activator. So those are one of the things. The other thing is there's a company called realrawfood.com, and realrawfood.com has something called biofilm busters, so you can take a look at that. But in my experience, as you talked about the yoni steams, did you see how the steam was coming and doing different things to help, let's say with Master Cleanser or Black Lemonade, things like that have been known to assist with it. But there are biofilm busting, which I have here, herbs for that. And again, the company would be realrawfood.com. So take a look at that. I'll put that in the chat room if that helps you guys. But Real Raw Food is an excellent company. And for those people up here, it's not just Canada. They will send it all over the place. And you can give them a call. Call Let's Make a Deal if you have any questions. They're excellent to deal with here. But Real Raw Food has got in their supplement section something that you can do. And that would be going into all sorts of things, colloidal silver, nebulizers. They have something called Spike Protect, by the way. So Spike Protect is a really great combination of stuff that we're talking about, using things other than the conventional drugs. So when we have realrawfood.com, you can go in there and look at what's called Spike Protect. Now, their Spike Protect is absolutely amazing. And maybe why don't we just take a look at it? You and I go together, and I'll just screen share here for a second. Why not? We have YouTube actually working, which is wonderful to have that. So we're going to take a look here. I'm going to share the screen, and let's all go to Real Raw Food together. Okay, so in here, if I wanted to look at some things called Spike Protect, you can take a look here, and there we go. And again, you can make up your own. You don't have to go always just to these particular ones here. So basically, Spike Protect here has got your quercetin, your schizandra berry, ginkgo, NACs in here, neem, vitamin C, serrapeptase, and nattokinase. If you don't want the nattokinase, again, you can go to this company and buy them all separately. Okay, so this is something rather than people paying $300-400 or, you know, looking at stuff like that, you can go into here. This is another company that we have as well that will actually do what's called water purification drops, which is another word for chlorine dioxide. So sometimes these companies, you have to know what they're kind of putting it under so that Health Canada or someone else is not making their lives miserable here. So this is a CDS and very, very reasonable. They're also available on Amazon.ca and .com now. So this is something that's been used a lot against Giardia. It's been used E. coli, botulism, all the weird stuff that you're seeing. But a lot of times we're using it now, again, for some of the shedding material here. Okay, and what we're really doing is when we're talking about stuff, whether it was MMS or CDS or call it wherever you want, you can also get different things also in powders a lot of people aren't aware of. So take a look at this. This is another, and again, you can look up the protocols on your own. You can also use hydrogen peroxide. But you did mention to me about the biofilm, and this is actually one of the companies that does actually have a biofilm. But again, you don't have to get them from these companies. Look at how they're combining things here. So there we have, and again, just before I go on there, they're talking about colloidal silver in the middle. We're not talking 20,000 parts per million or zeolites at 18,000. You're talking about stuff that's usually 10, 20, 30 parts per million. You want it a bigger mesh. So again, it will help as an antiseptic, antibacterial without going into this. So this is actually by one of the awesome doctors, Dr. Paul Anderson. He formulated stuff. It was amazing. And one of the things that you can go in here. So again, it's got some black cumin. Okay, there you go. ALL and bismuth. Okay, so again, it will tell you what you can do. So it tells you again, because there's some people always read here. Okay, because these things are supposed to be really great as well for SIBO. Okay, but again, take a look. And again, you can Google those up on your own. Does that make sense? So those are some of the things in there. Oh, that's kind of you, Jody. Thank you, Grandmother Karen, for the fantastic information, your amazing knowledge, hearts, and a couple things in there. So, oh, Robert's in the room. Nice to see you, Robert. Robert says, yeah, that guy with Real Raw Food is an electrical engineer. He's nice. Yeah. And you practice breathing as well to be calm and increase your electrical power. So when you're practicing the breathing, as Robert's alluding to, is the plasma spins, you know, the poems, the tones, everything. You're getting the sacred geometry, right? And you're going and creating that morphic field to deal with the pleomorph that your, you know, bugs inside are trying to deal with. So again, those are some excellent things. And if you guys want to put in some of your things, we'll take a look at. Colin's laughing. He says he fell asleep on his iPad and broke it. Oh dear. Anyway, and thanks, Lucy, saying, I enjoyed your chats with Miles Johnson of the Basics Project. Yeah, that was pretty radical. So those people, I'm at Basis. I'm 47 and 54, by the way. So a lot of people that know the Basis Project, I go way back, like over just about 10 years ago. So Miles and I can have a friendship decade thing. So those are some of the fun things we started learning. And another one, if you haven't seen, if you guys are into the weird and wild stuff, there's something called Project Incension as well. And this was done by one of my old friends and really dear, and is Andrew Mallet. And Andrew actually had some amazing, amazing information and gathered a lot of information. You got to remember this, like a decade, you know, on there. So one of the things that we went to was Project Incension. We'll just go here. So let's just go to YouTube. It's still around. They've only taken a few. And I think he's got it also on Rumble, but not all of it. And they've taken a couple down, if you can imagine. One of them was my colonic one, but the other one was actually going in on doing this kind of health stuff. So for whatever reasons. But anyway, I want you to take a look at the videos, and let's just skip down to like 8 years ago on here. This is a wealth of information. So they initially approached me to talk like what I'm talking about today, just about secrets of quantum healing. So that was a fairly decent basic. I had several on colon hydrotherapy, and actually with great pictures, which I'll have to redo for you guys. But the colon hydrotherapy was amazing. That's one of the ones they actually took down, because I explained how from gestation, why it's going through. Your colon is the only way to access from head to toe all chakras inside. Okay, so even they kept my baking soda up. Oh my gosh. But a lot of the stuff in here, I want you to take a look at number 12. And this is to do with genetics. By the way, if you recognize some of this stuff, you'll see this is the stuff that was, by the way, also given to Captain Randy Kramer, actually in there. So one of the things when you're seeing what we're talking about here with genetics, I want you to see how many years ago we were talking about what was coming and what they were going to inject into the chromosomes and do your CRISPR gene editing and how they were going to do it. So we knew this many, many years ago. And some of the other things is how they've got little files on everyone, and they call them assemblies. So they might have like, you know, up to, I've seen as high as 106 assemblies or clones of you. Okay, so they're crisscrossing everything right now, which is another reason why you don't want to be putting things in here and putting things in that are pharmaceuticals, because they have metamaterials, and those are going to cause side effects. So when you start talking about EDTA and methylene blue, these are semi-synthetics, just like then they start talking about venoms and semi-synthetic venoms, you guys. These are microscopic, and they can sometimes be considered under their thing of natural. So it's not therapeutic. It's not even organic. They'll put it under there. So again, you're seeing hybridization and splicing and all sorts of stuff coming through here. So those are some of the things that you might want to take a look at here. So when we're talking about what's coming at you from which dimension, this is quite the different thing to go into. One of the other things as well is that when we talked about using those Eldon cards, there are so many different blood types here. It would spin your mind. And these are the ones that they acknowledge. Who's ever seen, well, we know about RH and all. That's not too, there's about 50 people in the world that have that. I know a couple of them. You see the RH51. Oh, what area would that come from, by the way? Okay, what you're not seeing in here is that what they were using is these are being frozen in Europe or in blood banks. And I'll just tell you, with monthly donors or bleeders that they can obtain it through. So again, it's not as simple as people want to see. If people want to take a look at that, that was from what's called Blood Book. So you can go back and take a look at these. I want you to see this is what they're working on for, you know, your digital twin and bioconvergence and seeing what they can do to other people and how people are being eradicated. So if you look at basically the Native Americans or indigenous people, Alaskan, you'll see that most of them are O positive, but something called RZRC. There are so many codes that they have not told people about. So a lot of your Russian Caucasians, AB positive, KB Vel. So again, it's not as simple as people think it is. And again, this is what they're working on removing. They just don't want, you know, people in here knowing this kind of knowledge. So that would be one I think that you guys would really appreciate and like. And then one of the other ones I'll just go in. I think they're all fairly decent for most of the ones that we did. I did some stuff about essential oils, radiation, bio-auras. And by the way, when I talked about the Genius Biofeedback and some of the other stuff in here, you can see the skill that I used way back, and I still have it, by the way. That was a $50,000 investment. Thank you very much, to get certified and go to school and write exams and be able to teach and do things like that. And that's like 25 years ago. So this technology has morphed into what we call the handheld units, like the BioVibes, the hand rifes, the Geniuses, the Odysseys, whatever we want to call them. But there are many different things there. So I want you to take a look at that. But that tech is available. And I was doing distant stuff, and I actually gave one of the guys copper from basically Saskatoon to Ohio, and he could taste the copper in his mouth in about 3 minutes, like he had a copper penny. So we can do some really wild stuff like that. So it's kind of like taking Reiki thought process, but we're amplifying it up on a carrier wave. So that's all we're doing. So a lot of the stuff that you're seeing now, a lot of those cover-ups, what we're dealing with, it ain't new to us. It's been there a long time. These are a lot of things, especially now, you might be interested in what's going on with the looking glass technology, what's going on there with the Schulman wave, and how they are telling you what it is, and it really isn't. So if you want to go in and take a look at some of this stuff, that might be very helpful for you. You know, you're going to see a lot of stuff out there with cameras that were basically not the ones that you're allowed to see. So what they show you in NASA or some of the different graphs and stuff they're showing are actually not true. It's redacted. So this is something in there that you might actually kind of like, you know, on there, and how we've got company and where they come through and the gates, what's really happening. And we will sometimes show you what was going on in real time and what the government was showing you on NASA, and it was 180 degrees apart. So those are some of the things, if you want to take a look at this. This is not, you know, I would say total gospel in truth and, you know, totally 100%, but it was the best with some of the information at the time. And the stuff I'm going to bring you back to is when they started inserting these Anunnaki satanic books, religions, and pre-planned into every different area and epoch, and how they have done resets many, many, many times. And with each reset, they usually like to put a set of books and code it and change everything around there. So again, history as you know it may not be what it is. Again, a lot of the agreements have been on copper plates. Some of these agreements that were with the Queen and stuff like that, you'll see the Bear Clan, my genetics, my great-great-grandmothers and Babas were on one side, and Queen Elizabeth and her Judea, Draco, Reptilian, whatever they were. So those were some of the original also auxiliary treaties and agreements, right, that have been severed and broken. So they've been all decoded, and they've been all entered into the international courts. And a lot of this stuff is based on time alignment. So people always assume, where is it? Because it's in stone somewhere, probably in some museum, but we know where that is. So right now, really what you need to look at is where you are, I think, for the pole shift and getting yourselves as healthy as you can and knowing what's coming down the pipes here real soon. So that's more, you know, what we're kind of looking at right now. So that particular one, and then the one that was right next to it, I think also might be, I think, very helpful for a lot of people right now, because like I said, you need to look at what's coming, what's available. This other one here about Space Wars is actually quite brilliant as well. But you'll see what's happening. So this fog and serration, all these things. I'm the one that developed the serration or anti-fog Rife codes for the Genius. I have got the libraries in there I've been putting out. So, I mean, these are things that you could be looking at as well. Again, hidden from history. Wherever they've got a real one, this lasted only, you know, a week or two in the outside, and they said, you can't show that kind of stuff. Those are some genetic and all the giants and stuff you're genetically connected to. And so they made a fake one and changed it, by the way. So anyway, take a look at some of these. Again, this is where some of the genetics and stuff come in. And one of the things too, like I said, if you take a look here where I like to show this one where it says the green warp drive, I want you to think of that's what they're doing. We'll just go back here for a sec. We'll go back here because what you're doing is you're taking a look at what they're doing with the 15-minute cities. Those are the towers and everything going around you. People will be entrapped in a microwave electronic fence, and now they're making the Skynet. So this Skynet has been ready to go. And of course, what they've done is, you know, they're going to upload the stuff to the Neuralink pretty soon. So again, these are some of the things that might be very helpful. And at the back, I'm usually at the end talking about the herbs and the oils. So they would talk about all their tech stuff, and then I'd come in and talk to you about enemas and waters or something. So anyway, those might be, I think, some use for you guys. Again, the stuff that's a little bit more down the rabbit hole in there. And again, if you take a look at some of the ones in here about going into the Basis Project, as I talked about, there's lots of stuff I did with Miles, Patty, conference speakers, also about what was going on, sometimes more so because I was the whistleblower for Canada and doing the medical evacuation for the people that were the witnesses to some of this. And I wish I could hook up some of my other stuff I'll show you, but what was actually happening on site to where these fires and direct energy weapons were, that we had to take people out that were bleeding, and the animals were bleeding out their rectums and their paws. So there's a question in here you have about, I have the hydroton paper. Oh, I think you're talking about pH paper. Okay, so that's not actually how you do it. So always a great thing here, you guys, is to read up before you're doing it. I would never ever suggest to put your saliva or put it on your tongue. To start with, let's see, I've got some up here somewhere. You can tell the teaching shelf here. Anyway, one of the things, now let's just go back. I'll show you right back onto where we were. That pH paper is meant to be primarily, I like to have the first morning urine. And the reason why is because you're most acidic, most toxic. So I want to see what kind of toxicity you're doing. Are you alkaline and staying alkaline, or is there so much toxins in the system that you are getting very acidic? So as a rule, we prefer to have the first morning, midstream, or at least the second, because it will be varying too much during the day. Everything you eat, everything will do. Timelines happen for a reason. We do liver gallbladder flushes at 10 o'clock and finish it because you start into gallbladder mode from 11 to 1. And then from 1 to 3 is your liver. And then from 3 to 5 is the lung area. And then you are releasing through the digestive system, the lower colon, from 3 to 5 in the morning. Or sorry, from 5 to 7 in the morning. So what happens in here is we want you to be doing that and testing the urine, not so much the saliva, because saliva changes too much. You can monitor both if you want. And if you are going to do saliva, then spit into a glass. Okay, so definitely don't do that. But there's a reason why. So again, what is normal? Does anyone here, I'm going to throw this back at you guys. What is normal blood, for example? Because we got different things. So just your urine and your blood are not that far that I want it from. What is the urine? What's the blood? What's average? Can anyone shoot that in there? I've been talking about alkalinity and pH paper for like 40 years. Colin, you want to take a stab at it? Anyone want to know? Okay. So actually what it is normal is actually 7.35 to 45 here. Okay. So you're basically going into this range, the dark blue. Okay. So that's what I want to see this. That's what you need to be. You need to be alkaline, not at neutral, not down at 7, and not acidic down here. So if you're green doesn't mean anything to me. It's which shade of green. Okay, so you could be 5.5, 5.8, 6 to whatever. 6.8 is acidic. Okay, and again, that's why people are having trouble. So there are many people that are allergic. I talked about taking the baking soda to titrate that. So maybe half a teaspoon. 2-3 times a day mixed with water, lemon juice, or whatever. But you know what? I have lots of clients now, like 5% of the population cannot take it. And some people have been so acidic too long, they actually almost go into an allergy if you give them baking soda. And that is one of the issues. So that's why I talked about the suedehills.com is one of the few things that's alfalfa based, because alfalfa is plus 33. Baking soda is 12.5. But the alfalfa is getting you on a real high, like moringa, alfalfa, things like that. So take a look at it. So that's one of the things, again, is to be in a state of homeostasis in there, and we don't want you too alkaline either, because I've done a lot of shows with Dr. Debbie Drake as well. And one of those things I really think you guys would enjoy is one that I did with Ryan Velli, like I said, and with Dr. Debbie Drake, is because what will happen if you get too alkaline, right, is that you can start also getting other bugs in there. And that's not something that's helpful either. Okay, so you got to maintain that homeostasis in there. So one of the things on that, and like I said, even with doing a lot of stuff, let's say with, and I'm putting it in there. That's what I did with Dr. Debbie Drake. We will talk about the pH and stuff in there, but we will talk about the biofeedback as well. So does anyone have any questions there? And Robert's got a thing. We've been increasing, the monadic heart alignment with the crystal river. Absolutely. Increasing the electrical strength of silver and gold mated with the tribal shield activation of the 13th Mother Arc Star 5 light cycle. So one of the things Robert Owen's talking a little bit about too is that when you go into that, I'm assuming that's who you are. But anyway, I know who talks which way. But one of the things in there is that there are many different activations going on. So, for example, where I live is actually where the 13th, when the clan mother stuff is. It's a sacred site here that you can Google the rock petroglyphs of British Columbia or Slocan Lake. You will see why we're here and why Valhalla and why are they choosing to do things when, you know, we had original tribal things of gold and silver and mines and glacier lakes, and this was a meeting place, and this is why some of this stuff is being cleaned out right now. So one of the things is to take a look at that. So does anyone have any other questions? Are we great? I think what we're going to do, I'm going to start going back to doing weekly or bi-weekly things to help you guys. One of the things is turpentine. That's a great question. So one of the things is there is some turpentine, and of course, you're not going to the paint store. You're going to get the gum spirits of turpentine. Dr. Jennifer Janels has got some great stuff out there, but it's called Diamond G. And now you can get it actually on Amazon. At one point, we couldn't. So I want you to take a look at that. So one of the protocols they did for turpentine, which was great for parasites and stuff, is turpentine. Again, turpentine, serpent, you know, Sarah, all these different things that you'll see in essential oils, right? Turpentine is also what you get from pine trees, okay? Or you get different things from birch trees. But in this case, the turpentine, there's a great one that I talked to them. Have a phone them if you have questions. I do. I mean, my gosh, I called her like 6, 7, 8 years ago when I had some questions because they had a certain amount of trees that really produce some great stuff for the natural turpentine that's tapped off. And in there, what they do is they basically would put it on white sugar cubes. Well, I'm not a fan of white sugar cubes, but I can use natural sugar, you know, things like that. And again, there's protocols. So take a look at that. Just like the same thing, you've got hydrogen peroxide. You can take hydrogen peroxide, which is at 29 or 35%, depending where you can get it, and put 4, 5, 6 drops in a glass of water. So all my waters have got extra hydrogen peroxide and stuff in there too. And I go to findaspring.org. That's where I go and get my spring water all the time. You know, if you want, you can put it into Miron glass, which I have, which is a purple UV glass. You can also put this into copper, put these things into copper vessels and do that as well. So those are some of the things. One of the other thing I want to go into a little bit in here is a little bit about the biofeedback, okay? I don't want people being scared of that, okay? Because the stuff is designed to be working off-grid. And so when we're off-grid, we don't have to keep files. So there's no things up to the cloud. I don't have to have any of this stuff available, that will really create a deterrent for someone. So I can actually go camping with mine and not have to use the Wi-Fi. So once you download a software program, it's like stepping on a scale. It is what it is. So I'm going to show you just something maybe very simple that we can do, and on how we can use some of these biofeedback devices. So if everyone's got a phone, whether it's an Android or a smartphone, but it comes in 3 different versions. So it comes for an Apple version, and the only computer you can put it on is a Mac, and it has to have an M1 or M2 chip to interface with this kind of stuff. But basically what can happen is that you will go in and put it onto a phone, or in this case, I use a tablet, or in this case, a pad. And again, some of these things in here, okay, you've got a Rife, you've got a Genius, you've got lots of things. BioVibe, like I said, this one goes from BioVibe from $15 to depending which ones you want. But I like to work with some of the top stuff. Right now, you can actually get this Rife technology and put in whatever you've got, like headaches or kidney issues. I could type in kidney and look at all the kidney issues that come up. Kidney. Tons of stuff for kidneys. And then all you would do is put how many seconds you want and then hit the play button. So it's not rocket science to do that. And so there you would be going. And again, designed really to put the headphones on or earbuds minimally. It's not about just listening to this thing like you're listening to a YouTube or an MP3 or a CD. It's about running the waves through you. So as long as you're not injected or PCR'd or have a whole bunch of graphene, or you're on a whole bunch of prescriptions, remember your prescriptions, your ivermectin's got the prescription chip. You've got all those things. Methylene blue, they all have got semi-synthetics, which means they're going to have like heavy metals in them. So again, this is just a very simple one. So it's not that much for rocket science, is it? So again, you program that in to the other one where you get the bio vibe. And again, all you're going to do is you're going to put your voice in there, hit the record button, and away you go. It will actually scan for what category you want. And when you do a category one, what's really simple is, again, it's for just a category of things. So let's say I start putting my voice in, and you can see that it is talking. Oh, I'm talking, I guess, and it's recording, but A-E-I-O-U, 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 and then simply hit the scan button. And then what you're doing is these correlate to the platonic solids, but it's quite intense, actually. It took 40 Russian scientists and a bunch of our guys in Apollo 13 and Ryan Williams at Inside Health Apps. He was the one that developed this all portably. But all it does is, just like Star Trek, it goes through the categories that you need. So this is based on what it is. Is it nutrition? Is it pain? Is it hormones? Is it brain fog? Is it fungi? Is it, mold? What's the category? And in this case, some brain pain and some higher consciousness stuff. It could be sleeping, and then hormones or a detox. You can also open this up, and I'll just show you here. Again, it's stuff about liking the hormones. Okay, so we can go into hormones, fungus, mold, building the immune system, brain stuff, sleeping, getting up at night, are you peeing or is something bothering you, aligning back in, again, brain consciousness, right? If you're having anything like that. But the cool thing about these type of, when you have category ones, is you could go into the detox, and then I could go into anything I want. I could go into lungs, circulation, I could go into urine, guts, karma, nutrition, and then literally just start playing this. Again, these are the very simple ones. This is not going to replace the 28 categories when you do the big stuff. So there you go. So a lot of times, and that's a great question. So, hey, how's Janine doing today? On the Rife, I never know how long to play it. For example, kidney issues, how long should one listen to it on Rife? Well, I'll tell you, a lot of bugs, you need at least half an hour, 30 to 40 sometimes minutes just to do that. And you might need to do that for 2-3 weeks, right? So people always think that we're going to go up and it's just like, you've got some sort of a magic wand and it's going to go away. It's not like that. You're taking the first layer off, right? And hopefully you're not getting reinfected by the cat, the dog, the, chemtrails, the whoever shedding on you at the grocery store. So, and again, that becomes a lot. So I have a lot of people asking about this, what you guys call shedding, but transmission. Everything is sexually transmittable. Everything can be on contact. And I will tell you, I've had a couple cases already where people have been around people right before they passed on, or working with the bodies during the wakes and stuff like that. And they've ended up in the hospital. Okay. And some of these can be very severe. They've gone into anaphylactic shock. They've gone in to the point where people, want to do like blood transfusions like that bad within 24 to 48 hours. You might not, it might take a week or two. You may think it's something else because you're not going to correlate to what happened in the last 24 or 48 hours. Most people can't even tell me what they ate the day before, let alone who you were in contact with in the last 72. So one of the things too, and I don't advise, and especially looking up spooky too, there are different things, like I said, that work differently from sound-based and voice-based, as opposed to doing things with holding on, like using the old-fashioned biosensors where you're holding on to rods. So some of those things have been known to put people into turbo cancer. So if you have an issue with looking up the spooky too, talk to Tony Pantalleresco and all the clients that he got, really ill with here. So you need to be very careful. And like I said, this is the problem. People are putting people on Rife machines and scalar machines, and they don't have a flipping clue. You don't know how to do intakes. And this is stuff that actually I would like to see better certified. Okay. There are many of us that were trained and certified in instructors in biofeedback. And I'm a big one. And doesn't have to be schooling, but you better have the education. And most people don't. They will just go in. There are different books, and I mean lots of different books you can get. Okay. This is why we've gone into the sound technology ones as opposed to the old Rife. Okay. And I'm telling you, that was nice, but we have come a long way since then. These are different books, just of all the different codes that you can get. This is called the electrical herbalism of frequencies. Okay. You want to talk about every condition you can think of and look at all the mathematical codes that we have put into our genius. So this isn't just a real simple one. This is ones that we can also recode. So everything that you see, like if I grew that lavender or I grew that tobacco plant, I can always suggest if you want in here. And just to, I don't know if you guys can see back here, but there's a big book up there and it says Biofeedback. We have universities where we train people. We are trained as nurses, PhDs, and as doctors right now in biofeedback. And those universities have been running for about 10, 15 years, by the way. It's from the IQUIM out of Hawaii, of which I'm part of, by the way, and asked to be one of the professors when they started up. Okay, so one of the things too is that having the knowledge, who you do it with, what you don't do it with. Okay, it's not for everyone. And exactly, Colin's got a thing, the best quantum computers between your ears, but you know, sometimes it's a little void between some people. Common sense is, I find, a rare commodity these days. So having said that, why don't we go look? I'm just going to show you a couple more things of where we can do the scanning. And then what I want to do is we're going to do some biofield clearing today, the old fashioned way, and get the fun stuff out. One of the things in here, like I said, it's not just about shooting a rife. Anyone can shoot frequencies and codes. Okay. That's a no-brainer to run a rife code. Absolutely. Okay. And that's really basic. But you know what? If you're missing what it is, why you're doing it, not opening up your pathways, you're going to basically, you can put someone into a healing crisis. Okay. So there are reasons you do it and reasons you don't. But let's say this is designed differently. It's designed for all the essential oils that you need. So let's say someone just wants an aromatherapy session. I can just go to the aromatherapy page and just do those oils that the client requires for that particular illness. Okay, this is a total, I think this way is beyond what Rife started in here, what we've come to. These are the minerals that, you know, again, someone can be low or too high in, and just do a mineral or an electrolyte program. And as I talked about, let's say if we wanted to look at someone from a spinal alignment, or let's say a chiropractic alignment, right? There you go, up and down, pinched nerve, inflammation. There we go. So let's play. I don't want to go to the chiropractor today. Okay, so you can do that. And again, really meant to be done with headphones. And again, there is a problem with doing some of this stuff too, with using some of the things and holding on to the rods or sensors, because most people are too graphinated and you're not doing anyone a favor doing it that way. So those are one of the issues. And again, once we're going into stuff, again, the aura is a wealth of information. We have several different categories. So you're looking at someone and seeing what their biofield is around them. And so you're going in to see where the next order of where you should be working is, or where they need to target. So this is different. This is different than just the spookies and the Heelys and the Omicrons and the QXEIs and the Indigos and all those other ones. What you're doing is you're now going into an assessment, right? And you'll see that the actual improvement of where it's working and where you need to work in different cameras. Okay, so this is much more combined, and that's why these sort of things are more like $500 to $1,000 in there. So the other thing too is traditional Chinese medicine. How many people have gone to traditional Chinese medicine? And it will tell me, and I could just go into the liver and look at where it is and then start working the liver meridians. And then it will say, yes, you can use milk thistle or whatever. But these are designed, and like I said, I co-wrote some of the different libraries in here. So I put in, if you think that there's about 30,000 individual frequencies, or 60,000 or 70,000, I actually have gone in and put another 4,000 in myself. So that means I put 4,000 more items in that could be available to people. So for example, if you're at Young Living, I have all the Young Living. If you're with Doterra, I have all that. But the other thing is, let's say with the serratia, which is a really big thing right now, how many people have had fog in their area? How many people have heard about the illnesses with the fogs? Okay. Misdiagnosed, pneumonia, cancer of the lungs, COPD, emphysema, asthma, things like that. So those are some of the things. So a lot of people have not been doing really well in these areas. And I've got people on ventilators and stuff, especially if you're in some of those different areas, let's say, that have had the biochemicals. If you're anywhere within 4 or 5 states of what happened in Ohio, if you're anywhere near Connors, right? In Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, California, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, all those things in there, we now have got some issues. And so that's one of the things that I went in and I actually developed here. And one of the things is just for fog. So, for example, I developed a fog and fire one here. And those will be including some of the ones to do with the serratia. So you're seeing a lot of these stuff also coming in the chemtrails. We're also seeing molds and stuff like that. There's a serratia marcinians, and there are many different types of it. So they don't talk about that. They just say, oh, it's serratia. Well, it's not just serratia. There's many different types of serratia. Or what Dr. Young was talking about, the Tryptosone, the cruza, or what we're seeing a lot of too is Toxoplasmosis gondii and those type of things in there. So now let's kind of take the tech away. And right now, let's have a little bit of fun here. One of the things that's really important is to get grounded. So I always walk around in bare feet here, by the way, unless I got to go outside. That's simply because I know what's sitting on the dirt these days. One of the things that is great is to get yourself into a state of alkalinity. I like to do a lot of essential oils. So whether it's sandalwood or frankincense or myrrh or lime, I like to douse myself up. And it's not unusual to do that. You can use tuning forks, which are great. You can use bowls. You can use whatever you want to, okay, to get these things going. So again, have some fun. And one of the other things too is to get the breathing going, the pranayama, getting that, you know, as everyone's into breath work these days. It's a new thing, or Biofield practice. So one of the things is just to get really grounded, close your eyes, get your feet, and don't be crossing arms and legs and stuff like that. So get into very comfortable positions and let the energy flow through, and just do some very nice breathing. Get some music if you want. If you can, there's a 432 recorder, and you can get some of even the music we had in the 70s and 80s. But if you want, get something that's very relaxing to you, or some people just do better without any sound, and just silence can be one of the best things for you. And one of the breathing, you know, getting into the abdominal breathing. Everyone gets the breathing here. You know, people don't even realize it. They forget how to abdominally breathe. So there's something called breath of fire, or getting into learning different techniques of pranayama, holding and then releasing through the other thing. So if you can get into something, and these are where I've got YouTubes, and this is where I've done a 3-hour Biofield practice in where you go more into the meditation and guided meditations. I'm not one that likes guided meditations, so that's why I'm not going to do it today, okay? Because I don't care for it myself. But if you can get a pattern or a rhythm or something that you like, if that works for you, great, you can do that. But get into the thing where you can just quiet your mind if you can, or just focus. Or one of the other things simply right now is, do you know that humming, you kind of turn your brain off? So maybe just try humming. And if that's what you need, something just to shut off and not focus can be absolutely amazing. So one of the things as well, and one of my friends, Sabrina Wallace, and she's at Synergy. I put the links in earlier, or you can look at Sabrina Wallace on my Sabrina Wallace archive on Rumble. And Colin's got a lot of stuff. We're always putting on the same stuff on Twitter or X right now. And you see a lot of like Heather Carr and a few of the other people that are doing this. But Solana Fox teaches, and actually she's teaching in about 3 hours, you guys. If I didn't have to have some clients later today and help some people, is that I would be in there. But if you know about Solana Fox, it's Solana, Solana 0156 is on Odyssey. She actually has a Biofield practice that is for free, and it's 3 times a week. So if you want, get a hold of me if you can't find it. But one of the things is that we will teach that, and we will do Biofield. So we gab for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and then we get into, and she follows Sabrina's methodology of keeping it simple, the KISS methodology. And one of the things that basically what you're getting to the point is actually so that you can literally start feeling every hair, every little hair and every little cell stand up. And you should be able to get it. Like just if I went shield, you'll see it right there. You can see it right now happening. So again, that's the mind of the matter, and mind is the matter. So one of the things I want you to do is to get into doing that. So this is a really nice thing that you can look up. And so Biofield practice, everyone's got a different way of doing it. And that's something if you want to go into. I know Solana's more than happy to do that if you want to get into those Zooms, which are Wednesday night and Sunday evening, at least in there. So if that fits for you, let us know. So anyway, any other questions, or I'm going to let it go for today, and you can send me some sites if you've got my clanmother13 at Gmail, or if you want to send it onto my Facebook at Karenann MacDonald, or Twitter, or KA Lucyk, you're welcome to do that. Any other questions? Did we cover it all today for you? I think that's really great in here, where people get into, the rhythm of breathing, even just to go outside, for a few minutes and just relax, or if you can go buy some water, even better. And so those are some of the things I think Colin and Lucian and you guys have all got great suggestions in here. It's like talking to the choir for sure, and I think this is one of the things for doing the earthing, or, whatever you want to say, grounding. And that's what actually a lot of when I talk about doing the steaming, that's a great time actually to do Biofield as well, because you're doing a smudge. And for those people that haven't seen it here, I'll just turn this around a little bit. Hopefully I won't knock anything too far here. But what you're seeing in here is actually one of the chairs that I've devised. This is my Canadian Tire special up here. So this is actually just a chair that I made with a hole in it, but it literally could just be a stool. It could just be actually a porta potty. It could be a commode chair. But in here, what I've got is I've got the hot plate here. Remember I showed you that purple one. So basically this is just the hot plate. And even if you get this, going, and then you put your stainless steel bowl or visionware or whatever you want on it, and then just put your herbs, oils, and salts into it, right? And then you just boil that up. You don't need a lot. It could be even 3-4, tea bags or something, right? Put your essential oils in, that type of thing. Like I said, if you want aloe vera, there's all sorts of things that can be added, or, drinking right now. I've got everyone on aloe vera these days. But whether you pick it or put something in there, some people that do urine therapy even steam that up with it too. So that is some of the things that might be helpful to do grounding and smudging. So there's a great way to sit, relax. That could be your computer chair. So a lot of times I'll actually do computer work, and so I don't have to take away from anything else. And you're asking about a Solana's thing. I'll just grab that right now for you. I'll see if she's got a thing. So Solana Fox has got her Biofield practice, and we will take a look at that. And I'll get you one of the things we did as well here. So it's called Extended Biofield Workshop. And so, like I said, today it will be Wednesday, March the 5th. 8 p.m. Central, which is 6 in there. And again, it's on Sunday evenings. There's a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday link, okay, that she's got here. So if you want to have, I'll give you the sign-up form here. And I'll put that into the chat box. How would that be? Let's put that in. So, and then Solana 0156, and I'll give that to you now. I will actually give you one of my extended Biofield practices that I did, because there you'll have the Odyssey link that we did. Very similar to what you're learning today. And that's where I got up and I started talking a little bit about this. So
hello.
One of the things in here, what we can do is that you can learn a little bit from here. And there are many things that I think a lot of people haven't heard of, because when I put this up, people get really excited about information they haven't seen before. But let's go in and I'll just take a little bit of the Biofield. So there's your extended Biofield that I did with Solana Fox. And there's the thing, Solana 0156. Remember, you're on Odyssey. And so we came in, and that is Sherry. That's who Solana actually is. So once you get into here, there's some teaching and talking, a little bit of background in there, but we got up and you'll see me doing some Biofield, getting the music going, different ideas, okay, doing a group release and detox, all sorts of things. So a little bit like we went into today. those again are some different ideas that might be helpful for you. So why don't I put that into the chat room for you? Does that make sense? Covered everything for today. Is everyone okay? So I'm going to let everyone go. I'm going to post this up. Please like it and share it. And again, if you have any questions, contact me if you want any life coaching, if you need to be scanned, if you want the therapy, if you want to have the free link, I'll actually stick that in here too. Might as well give that to you. If you want to take a free link, you can have, like I said, a week on just about any of those apps I showed you, from the Rife to any of these ones. Take a look at. So when you go to the first thing, it will say actually advanced Biofield scanners and stuff. So if you do that, what can happen is that you can go play with it for, like I said, some time frame here. So why don't you just take a look at that, and then we will go in here again. And one of the things here, again, it's an Insight Health apps, but if you want, the very first thing that comes up here is basically you can go in and download it for the phone, tablet, or iPad. And if you want to get a scan, let me know. I can do that for you. But if you want to do any of the advanced telemedicine, let me know. There it is. It's at the Google Play Store, Apple Play Store, that type of thing. So that might be helpful for you. And for those people that always need a little bit more coaching, there is a whole thing on training. We wouldn't let you go without it. So we have all the YouTubes you want. So click on any of these YouTubes. It will take you to what we're actually doing and the training that we have for people. But if you skip down here, there's a mini course you can have for free. And then if you really skip down here, there's Dr. Debbie Drake. There's our free PDFs. So if you want, you can learn about auras. You can learn about biofeedback. You can learn about remedy plates, anything along that line. But there's an incredible manual down here, which I totally recommend getting into, because that manual is worth its weight in gold. Let me tell you, a lot of people, like I said, they don't realize how valuable this kind of information is. Okay. So this tells you how to read orders. It tells you how to download. So if you want, go just even look now and even just download it and see if it's something that you want to do. Like I said, we're going into advanced telemedicine. I've been doing it like this way for probably 15 years now. So anyway, exactly. So those are some of the things anyway. So if it's something that intrigues you, let me know. You want the site for that? Yeah, I will put that in right now. Thank you for asking. I will get that for you, because people always ask. I'll put one with the education, because you could always skip there. And we'll put you on the main one that I have here. And if you have any questions, let me know. You know, like I said, there's any of these ones. And if you've got, there's a 1-800 number up there. They've got their contact as well, like, which is, you know, support at Insight Health Apps, right? A lot of people think I'm selling this stuff. I don't, actually. This is a separate company. So, but I am really excited about this, you know, using the 5 or 6 that they have. And like I said, we stripped everything out of those $50,000 ones, and you can expand that and expand it to whatever you want. So that's a great thing. You can modify it for home. You can modify it for cats, dogs. You know, we do it for all the animals as well, which is really helpful, right? Because a lot of people, like I said, they've got a lot of pets there that are being affected, just like all the people are. You can also put, you know, for land clearance, a lot of people, if they're looking at houses, or you can take a picture of your house out front or do it from Google Earth. It's really cool to see you. So anyway, there we go. Does that help? I got that for you. So you can go to that Insight Health Apps and just click on that link. And otherwise, I will put my email again here if you want, because you can contact me. And if you have questions, or if you want a quick session, or you want a quick demo, or you need a long session, or you need a long demo, whatever there might be. So there's one, and then that was the Clan Mother one. And then the other one I'll give you will be the Proton Mail. So how many of you guys are in Facebook? I recognize several of you guys from my Facebook pages here. So that's available as well. So you can always get a hold of me at that particular site, and also on Twitter. I do it an awful lot on Twitter. And for those people, if they have any questions, I'll go just a little bit maybe over what Tony Pantalleresco actually has here, because I think that's really, really important as well, you guys, is to take a look at that. And Tony, I think, is a wealth of information, just like Sabrina. And you can take everyone, what they do for diets and foods and whatever you want to talk religions, whatever you want, take that with you can take that with a grain of salt. Take a look at the data that they're presenting, though. That is the one thing that I think is important. So there is that to really take into consideration, because a lot of people don't realize that. But one of the things I think is really important, I'm going to give you Tony Pantalleresco's Substack, because from there he's on every second day. And then after they're done, at about, he starts at usually about 5 o'clock every second day. So he's not on today, he'll be on tomorrow. And after he's done, after about 3 hours, so usually about 8 o'clock, somewhere in that range, Pacific, they will go till the wee hours of the morning. They've got a Discord group. And if you really want to talk to people and experts, in these fields that made these kind of anti-nanotech things that we're looking at, and I'm going to refer to it. One is called the spike, one is called the bucket, and the other one's called the triangle. And so these are some of the ones that I'm going to just show you here briefly before we leave today, because I think that's really important. A lot of people have not seen these kind of devices that we're starting to play with. And so I've got some here in beta testing. And this is one here. It's called the triangle. And if I plug it in with the computer charger and put some magnets in, you'll see them flopping like a floppy chicken here. Okay, it will be waving because it's changing the electrical magnetic fields here. You'll actually feel the pulsing through it. It's meant to be used either dry, so you can put it, your feet in here or whatever, but what it's really meant to be is put into a salty bathtub. And people have said that they've actually gotten some of the graphene and stuff out. Not to be used with anyone injected, not to be used with anyone that's highly graphinated. So there are some things that you don't use it for. Certain things like when you're pregnant, when you're menstruating again, or you have a pacemaker. So one of the other ones they have as well is something called the spike. And this little spike thing has got a couple of these copper mesh things, and they put on, and they're done with a relay system. So you can hear, just like, in a car when you're turning and you hear the signal, that's what you're going to hear. You'll hear it pulsing through. So these are things that are available. And that's Tony's Substack. So again, if you have questions about things like, Spooky 2, Carbon C60, Shilashite, the silica, what it's doing, he's the one with all those wonderful studies. So anyway, I hope some of this has been helpful. And it's been great to see you guys. So again, do get a hold of me. And I think what we're going to do, I'm going to start doing this regularly. So I think that would be great. And I'm just finding we can get this information out, and then we'll tap it down to little shorter versions if we can. We'll go like 10 minutes on oils and 10 minutes on something and 10 minutes on something, right? Because it's a lot to take in. And I really appreciate you guys hanging in with me. So it's been just about 2 hours, if you can imagine. But it's been fun. And I thank you guys for dropping in. And again, we'll see you later. Thank you. Take care, you guys. Ciao.